Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, breaking down our first New Year's Six bowl game of this 2020 postseason. We've got number 7 Florida and number 6 Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl at Jerry's World. And guys, this is going to be a great matchup. If you love offense, this is absolutely going to be the game for you. So as always, here at the Gridiron Expert, we're here to break down this bowl game, share our official prediction. We're going to cover the offenses. We're going to cover the defenses that could struggle in this game, keys to the game, and who we have winning the Cotton Bowl and ending their 2020 season on a high note, carrying some momentum into a huge 2021 season for both of these teams. So let's take a look at a little bit of background for both Florida and Oklahoma. We know Florida, they are the SEC runner-up. They fell to Alabama in the SEC title game, 52-46, an absolute thriller down in Atlanta. And they have 3 losses, yet they're still the 7th-ranked team in the country. A lot of people have issues with that. We did, certainly, when they fell to LSU. We didn't think that Florida deserved to be a top 7 team after they fell to LSU. But the performance against Alabama, even though it was a loss, was very, very impressive. Not many teams could put up 46 in Alabama. Not many people could shut out Alabama for a single quarter, so I would still have Florida as a top 10 team. Oklahoma, they are the 6th-ranked team in the country, and they deserve that spot. They are one of the hottest teams in the country right now. They've won 7 straight games. 7 straight games since they started the year 1 and 2 with losses to Kansas State and Iowa State. They're the Big 12 champions, won a thriller over Iowa State, a rematch against them in that title game, and now come into this one with a young quarterback in Spencer Rattler and Lincoln Riley finally playing in the postseason without it being the college football playoff. It's his first postseason appearance that is not the college football playoff. So a bunch of interesting storylines to watch out for here. And also you can throw in that this is a former national championship rematch. These two teams met in 2009 in the national championship, Florida winning that game 24-14. We might have a game that's as exciting as that one, but not nearly as low scoring as that one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the offenses here. Let's start with Florida. Let's start with them. They're a designated road team in this game. And if you have followed college football, if you have followed Florida, you know that they have one of the best offenses in the entire country. They're averaging 41.6 points per game. They're averaging 508.8 yards per game. And their leader, their reason for these ridiculous numbers is Kyle Trask, the quarterback. Kyle Trask has thrown for over 4,100 yards, 43 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. Absolutely worthy and was worthy of being a Heisman Trophy contender, a Heisman Trophy candidate. The key here, though, guys, is the fact that Kyle Trask might be missing some of his key pieces on offense that have also made him and this team so good. We know for a fact that Florida is going to be missing their star tight end, Kyle Pitts. He has opted out of this bowl game, going to prepare for the NFL draft, where he absolutely will be a first-round draft pick. There's a possibility that Kadarius Toney, the leading wide receiver for the Gators with 984 yards and 10 touchdowns, and Trayvon Grimes, both of those guys could be sitting out of this game as well. As of this video, we have not heard anything on that. All we know is that Kyle Pitts is opting out. But if those 2 other players, Toney and Grimes, if they choose to opt out, Florida will be without their top 3 wide receivers in this game. It's going to be a very tall task for Kyle Trask. You look at the run game for Florida, basically non-existent. They're averaging just 120.5 rushing yards per game. We know that's not their strength. We know that's not what they want to do, but they're probably going to have to figure something out in this one, especially if they're down a handful of offensive starters, especially in the wide receiver/pass-catching core. You look at Oklahoma, what they've done offensively. You know every year they're going to have one of the top offenses in the country because Lincoln Riley is such a brilliant offensive mastermind. They're getting hot. We mentioned that. Offense was decent first part of the year. They've won 7 straight games, and they're hot. 41.8 points per game they're averaging. They're more balanced than Florida, certainly. Have a little bit more of a run game than the Gators do. The Sooners are averaging 321.6 passing yards per game, 154.2 rushing yards per game. And like Florida, Oklahoma's leader is their dynamic quarterback in Spencer Rattler, who's done a great job this year as a freshman. Again, we've said it multiple times this year. You could never, even the diehard Oklahoma fan, you could not expect Rattler to come in as a freshman and play the way that Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts did during their time at Oklahoma. Those were all transfer quarterbacks that had experience. This was the first time that Oklahoma, under Lincoln Riley, was playing a non-transfer quarterback. And I think Rattler has done relatively well, all things considered. Over 2,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the year. Not a bad mark there. And it should be mentioned that he has thrown just 3 interceptions in his last 7 games compared to 15 passing touchdowns. So the touchdown-to-interception ratio is unreal, guys, and Rattler is getting better and better every single week and is certainly going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country going into next season. You look at the run game for Oklahoma. We mentioned that was a little more balanced. Mentioned they had a bigger threat running-wise than Florida did. Ramondre Stevenson, a major reason for that. This guy missed half the season. He missed half of this season, yet he's still the Sooners' leading rusher with over 450 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. So I don't know if that speaks volumes about how bad Oklahoma's run game was prior to Stevenson returning or how big an impact Stevenson really makes on this team. But regardless, he's going up against a Florida defense that could be in for a little bit of a trouble with such a balanced offense coming from Oklahoma. So Stevenson could be in for a bigger day than some think. A guy that has certainly given the Sooners team the boost they needed over this back half of the year. You look at these defenses, guys. You look at Florida and you look at Oklahoma. I think it's obvious that Oklahoma owns that edge. Florida's defense just has not been up to par, has not been what we thought it would be. It's the major reason that I think they're not playing in the college football playoff right now. I mean, let's think about it. They had a 3-point loss to Texas A&M where they allowed 41 points. They had a 3-point loss to LSU where they allowed 37 points. You don't have those losses there. You win maybe just one of those games and the Gators might be in the college football playoff. The defense has ultimately been their downfall. They're allowing 28.6 points per game, 404.7 yards per game. And you look at some of the numbers here, while they've done semi-decent, all things considered, the most impressive thing to me is the fact they have 33 sacks. We know Todd Grantham loves to blitz, loves to send pressure. 33 sacks and 14 turnovers. They have forced 14 turnovers, with 9 of those being interceptions. We expected more from Florida considering the strength of their secondary this year, but this is the opportunity for them to maybe turn in their best performance of the season against a very good and pass-happy Oklahoma offense. Oklahoma, their defense, we said they own the edge, and it's clear. Alex Grinch has done a phenomenal job with the Sooners ever since he took over as defensive coordinator. They're allowing just 90.6 rushing yards per game. So we mentioned earlier, Florida doesn't have much of a run game anyways. They're certainly not going to have one here against Oklahoma. So you can forget about it. Florida, if they want to win, they've got to air it out. And that's why having Kadarius Toney and having Trayvon Grimes, that's why it's going to be such a big deal, hoping that they do not opt out. So 90.6 rushing yards per game, that's great for the Sooners. I don't think Florida eclipses 100 rushing yards in this one. What Oklahoma does struggle with a little bit is the passing game. They're allowing 243 passing yards per game. And I do think Kyle Trask is in for a big day. I think Kyle Trask can put up some big numbers on this Sooners defense. This is arguably the best quarterback that Oklahoma has faced all year long. I don't know what any other comparisons could be. Brock Purdy, Sam Ehlinger, Kyle Trask better than both of those guys. But what Oklahoma is also doing extremely well, similar to Florida, is they are great at pressuring the quarterback. They have 36 sacks this season. They have forced 16 turnovers this season. 13 of those are also interceptions. So this secondary for Oklahoma, not too bad. Great at taking the ball away. But one key player they will be missing. An eye for an eye here. Oklahoma, big offensive starter will be gone. Florida, one big offensive starter will be gone. For the Sooners, one big defensive starter will be gone. They'll be missing cornerback Trey Brown in this game, who chose to opt out. And right now, that is the only opt-out that we know of for Oklahoma. But that's a big loss in that secondary, especially when you're going up against one of the best passing offenses in the country. So let's take a look at the keys to the game here, guys. What is going to be the key for Florida to win this game, finish the year at 9-3, finish the year in the top 7? Same for Oklahoma to finish the year in the top 6 and carry a lot of momentum into a 2021 season where they certainly hope to repeat as Big 12 champions, but hope to get back to the college football playoff. You look at Oklahoma, the first thing they need to do in this game is what we just said. force turnovers. They've done a great job of doing that so far. 16 on the year, 13 interceptions. They had 3 interceptions in that Big 12 title game against Brock Purdy and Iowa State. One of those came in the final minute. Brock Purdy is wildly chunking it up there. Not a move you would make by a veteran quarterback, but still, it clinched the game for Oklahoma. So 3 interceptions in the last game they played, and this number here is huge. Florida, they have not won a game where they have failed to win the turnover battle. Each game they have lost, they have failed to win the turnover battle. It was even against Texas A&M. Each team had 1 turnover. Florida committed 3 turnovers against LSU compared to none by the Tigers, and they committed 2 turnovers against Alabama compared to 1 by the Crimson Tide. So 3 losses, 3 failed attempts to win the turnover battle. If Florida is unable to do that, then they very well could lose this game. Every possession is going to count here because I don't see either defense getting that many stops in this one. So Oklahoma, if you win the turnover battle and you convert off of those turnovers, you're going to be sitting pretty. The second thing Oklahoma needs to do is try to win the time of possession. Again, every possession is going to count. I think we're going to see a lot of points here, but an additional number you want to look at here. Every game that Florida lost, they lost the time of possession. They lost the time of possession to A&M, Alabama, and LSU. So turnovers and time of possession seem to be a key weakness here for the Gators. And if Oklahoma can build off of that, if they can utilize those keys and make it happen, they're going to win this game. The longer you keep Kyle Trask off the field, the better it is for you. The better it is for your defense, better it is for your team as a whole. Because I sure as heck don't want to see Kyle Trask out there because they're a threat to score every time they take the field and score in a hurry. So Oklahoma, take your time. Spencer Rattler, Ramondre Stevenson, solid offensive line. Take your time, march down the field, get points out of it, and force Florida to score. We know they can do it, but put pressure on them, saying, hey, we have to score every time we take the field because if not, we're not going to get the ball back for another 6-7 minutes. That's going to be a key in this one. Florida, couple keys for them. First one is just try to mix in the run. We know Oklahoma has been so good against the run. Under 100 rushing yards per game they're allowing on average, but Florida's got to try to find some sort of success there. Maybe it's not handing it off to Dameon Pierce. Maybe it's just giving it to Kadarius Toney. Maybe it's Kyle Trask, who was a little bit more mobile in that SEC championship game against Alabama. But you've got to find a way to get the run game involved, especially if you're going to be down a handful of pass catchers. Florida has dealt with life without Kyle Pitts before. He's been battling injuries all year, and they've been fine without him. But you take away Toney, you take away Grimes, they're going to struggle a little bit. So you've got to find a way to find some sort of balance and get that run game going so you can try to set up the pass. Another thing, give Kyle Trask time so he can pass. Kyle Trask has been sacked 19 times this year. 19 times this year by opposing defenses. Oklahoma has over 30-something sacks on the year, like we mentioned. Again, 19 isn't that much, but it's not that great either. So it's not bad, but it's not great. It's right there in the middle. And with this Oklahoma defensive line that, again, continues to get better every single week, that's a concern if I'm Florida and I'm that offensive line. And then finally, for the Gators, what do they have to do? They need to slow down the Oklahoma passing game. Force Oklahoma to run with Ramondre Stevenson. Again, they're more balanced than the Gators. I like their running game better than Florida right now. I do like Florida's passing game better than Oklahoma's right now, though. But if you make Oklahoma relatively one-dimensional and make them run the ball, something they're not all comfortable with, something they certainly do not want to have to do nonstop, you have a great chance to win this game. You absolutely do. But take away the pass game, get a couple interceptions, create some pressure on Spencer Rattler. This is arguably the biggest game he's ever played in, New Year's Six caliber bowl game, first full year as a starter. So make him a little uncomfortable and see what you can do. See if you can force Oklahoma to run more than they do the pass. So what is going to happen down in Arlington, Jerry's World, in this Cotton Bowl? Again, the first New Year's Six bowl game of the year. A great national championship rematch from 2009. SEC runner-up, Big 12 champion. Again, this is a fantastic bowl matchup. It's going to be one of the best ones, I think, of this entire postseason. What I can tell you is, again, right now we don't know too many opt-outs, and our opinion could change as more news develops over the following days, if it does at all. But with what we know right now, we are going to pick the Florida Gators to win this game. You look at Florida and how great they've been in the postseason under Dan Mullen. They've won an Orange Bowl, won that last year. They won the Peach Bowl the year before that. So they're not just winning decent bowl games. They're winning New Year's Six caliber bowl games, and they're winning them in convincing fashion. Dan Mullen always plays well in the postseason. And I also look at this. Florida put 46 points on Alabama, something that right now I don't think Oklahoma could do. I don't think Oklahoma could put that many points on Alabama. I don't think that Oklahoma could have lost by only 6 to Alabama. And I know Alabama and Oklahoma, they're completely different opponents for the Gators, and you can't really compare the different matchups here. But from what we've seen from Florida over the course of this entire season, the way they played just a few weeks ago down in Atlanta, it leads me to believe that they can get the job done down in Arlington. So in a game that should be high scoring, a game that should be back and forth, a game that should be close and fun, I am picking the SEC runner-up in the Florida Gators to win this game, continuing to show they are a legitimate top 10 team. Forget everything that people were saying about the LSU loss. We played Bama close to end the year, and we're going to end the season with a win over a top 6 opponent in a New Year's Six bowl game. And after everything that's happened, I think that's more than you could ask for if you're a Gators fan. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And also make sure to check out everything down in the description below. We've got so much exclusive college football content there for you. We've got our brand new GE merchandise. We have the Patreon account, our BetNow promo code, our expert picks and newsletter that can be found on our website, thegridironexpert.com. All of those things down in the description for you, the diehard college football fan. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.